Women who stuck with a significant other without feeling a strong connection in the beginning, how did you turn it into a happy and successful relationship in the years to come? I didn't. I spent years putting time and energy into something that had no real future until I finally got myself out of it. It was a valuable learning/personal growth experience. But it's not one I would recommend to others. I didn't. I attempted this a number of times and it all falls apart at the 6mo mark. You can fake it for a month. Maybe 3. But by month 6 the facade will wear down and all you have is wasted time. Unless it's the 1800s and you are a woman who will live a wretched, horrific life if you aren't married to a man whether you like him or not. Then I don't recommend playing this game. For me personally, it began with my realizing that my ideas surrounding the ideal media perpetuated bad boy filled with internal torment and intimacy issues that only I could fix. Once I realized that going after those kinds of men, the TLDR unavailable emotional types, was only leading to be mostly miserable with few moments of intense connection mixed in between. I realized that the vast majority of the time I was miserable, feeling lost, and constantly striving to prove myself. I wasn't going to be the one to change them and show them that it was me that would change their toxic behaviors. It was difficult. I liken it to detoxing off of a drug, and every guy I met who didn't force me to strive to prove my worth and fix him didn't give me my fix. That exhilarating feeling of that intense comment where they would give me just enough to convince me they deep down weren't really an asshole and needed me. For me, I realized finally that a relationship should overall add to your quality of life, and my emotional and professional growth was suffering from obsessing over the relationship. So now I'm in a relationship with my best friend of 10 years. There's are moments I miss that intensity, but in its place I've learned the value of having someone who is consistently there for me and respects and values me as a partner and not just as a source of love when they feel like being adored. It's been a struggle, but I'm getting there and feel like being able to rationally communicate and have more peace in my life is better for my mental health than living in a soap opera. I met my so when I was pretty young. We've been dating for almost a year when I realized we don't have a strong connection. I was sure we'll break up eventually. Fast forward 5 years. And we both grew a lot. I became less shallow, more knowledgeable, and definitely more opinionated. He changed too. But it wasn't because I tried to change him. Life just happened. I think the fact that we're different people now. We work so much better together. At the beginning of the relationship we were young, naive and foolish. To add, as a kid I had pretty unrealistic image of a couple in love. Now my views have completely shifted as I've learned more about myself and my preferences. Also, at the beginning of the relationship we both weren't truly ourselves. We tried to please each other and therefore we've sacrificed a lot of what's important to us. Now we're more balanced and we value both our time together and our separate individual selves. I didn't. I tolerated him more than I liked him because I never had someone treat me nicely. By month 6, I was like, "This is not going to work." I was crying every day. So much anxiety. And I couldn't think about anything else in my life. By month 9, I had the courage to leave. He was the most amazing guy I met. Sweet as can be. Just not for me. It definitely taught me what I want and don't want in a relationship. But I'll always make sure I like the person, even if I have to reject a few people. I met my so when I was reeling from the breakup of a toxic and unstable relationship. At the start of this new relationship I guess I was looking for that drama that I equated with passion. And had a lot of doubt about a future together with a man who was kind, patient, and consistent. Because it wasn't what I knew and I didn't know how to deal with it. We had some wobbles because of my doubts, but I made a commitment to work on my past traumas and resultant behaviors. I made a real effort to spend a lot of time alone to build up my sense of self and not get sucked into a codependent situation again. Through that work we have fostered a loving and accepting relationship, which turns out to be a lot better for me than walking on eggshells and having my heart broken over and over. The connection I perhaps didn't feel at the start is certainly there now. I was overjoyed when I understood it's within me, not somewhere out there. I was just too caught up in my thought loops to let myself feel it. I didn't. I became more and more resentful/regretful of the relationship while simultaneously not wanting to hurt him by ending things. All that did was draw out the inevitable and make it worse. If there's a connection, then there's a connection. It doesn't have to be strong in the beginning. That's what the early stages are for. If it doesn't happen as things go further, then it probably won't, and there's no point in dragging it out. We just broke up. He's an incredible, compassionate, solid person. And we've already started building our friendship together. But if there isn't a spark, you can't commit hard enough to create one. Even if everyone is kind, caring, and full of integrity. Not how romance works. Unfortunately. The only plus side is after staying in relationships way too long. I wisely ended this one before the resentment/bitterness got too bad. We lasted a year and a half. A year of which was living together. Moved in fast because of the pandemic. And so even though there's been some anger and grief, it's already fading fast and hopefully leaving a lasting friendship. The longer you stay and try to fix something that never really worked well, the uglier the relationship gets until any chance of a compassionate breakup is gone. Trust me. I've been there. Stayed with someone for years and it was 2 years too many. We will never talk again. I tried. But at the 3rd year I realized I was too tired. I was exhausted of pretending being a sunshine while I was deep in depression. He felt something change. I tried to hold things, but at the end I had to give up and left without feel blame. I have been single since then. Like 4 years. And I learned to be alone, so now I don't want to be with anyone. It's better to accept something won't work and leave so the other person can find a so can you. About 21 years ago, I introduced my best friend and my then boyfriend. Next time we were alone, she commented that there just didn't seem to be all that much passion between us. Having gotten out of a very passionate and really pretty hellish marriage the year before, I did not see this as an issue. We married. We had some rough times. There were a few where I really thought we'd be better off apart. We went to counseling. Individually. And together. Things got better. I kept at it. I learned things about myself. I've been in therapy continuously for the past /20 years. Which is an enormous privilege, but anyway. I taught him things about himself. We sometimes screamed. But more often we laughed. Next April will be 20 years. This past year has brought us closer than ever. Including our kids. We've got our lovely little home full of people who like each other. So. Yeah. It can work. But don't just ignore warning signs because you think it's going to get better. In this case, there wasn't the kind of animal attraction that I'd experienced in previous relationships. But there wasn't anything /wrong either. So listen to your gut. If it's telling you this isn't going to work. But also /do the work you can if it's important to you. I didn't. I left. Why put the effort in if there's no connection in the beginning? My first boyfriend. I don't know if I ever felt a strong connection. But he liked me and treated me nice, so we dated for 3 years. Around the 2nd year I started thinking that maybe I didn't like him and it wouldn't last. But since we had no issues and he was nice, I tried to go on with it. A few months before breaking up I knew it was coming, but I couldn't go through with it. Hurting him. But it had to happen. A year after breaking up I was dating my second boyfriend. Through 3 years of his emotional abuse I had feelings for him, and leaving was very hard. After knowing what having strong feelings about someone is like, I refuse to be with someone when I don't feel a connection. It's miserable. Spent 5 years in a toxic relationship. Wondering if I was really in love and if that was it. Because I thought butterflies are a Disney thing. Yeah, no. Turns out I wasn't in love. I just needed a crutch because I didn't want to address tough things in my life. The day I finally broke up with them, wings sprung out of my back. I left. I knew it wasn't fair to them and they deserve somebody who is just as excited about them. I thought my feelings would change as time went on, and it didn't. In the end we both got hurt, and yet if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. I ended things with him. Because little did I know, the whole reason I was hesitant about dating him in the first place were actual red flags that came up as soon as he got what he wanted, me. He turned out to be very toxic in numerous ways. I didn't. I convinced myself to date an old guy friend that I was never attracted to in any way whatsoever. My logic there was that all the men I had ever really been attracted to all turned out to be absolute monsters, and I was convinced that maybe my taste in guys was permanently screwed. So I went for the opposite of my type. After 4 years, it turned out that he was a very slow thinker and had poor hygiene. He decorated our house with clowns, airplanes and Lion King stuff. Like he was an elementary school kid. I put up with it until I found out he was hiding porn. Was a serial cheater and a child rapist. Don't settle. Ever. Oh baby. I did this. He was my best friend. But it never happened. I eventually had to break up with him because it wasn't fair for the either of us, but it was really hard. Seeing this question, I just gotta put it in the thread that if anyone feels this way, they're not the one. And that's okay. Many people rock. Most people are fun and have something to offer. But don't settle for someone you aren't head over heels for. It takes up your space to find the right one. Sadly, I failed. I dated my best friend for 5 years. We lived together. Were engaged. Planned to have a family one day. But he didn't love me romantically and lost all sexual interest pretty fast. I put the work in. Tried to be his perfect girlfriend. At some point it wasn't worth the effort for him anymore and he dumped me. I'm now with the first guy I met after that I had a crush on. 2 years in. Butterflies are gone. But none of the problems I had before. Romantic feelings do make a big difference.